So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're joining, folks. This is Prithviraj here, and I'm glad to see you all. I'm the host of this meetup, and I am happy to see you all joining in on a Saturday. So, welcome to the Kubernetes Chaos Engineering Meetup. And today we are having a stacked agenda, and we are having a lot of folks who will be talking about various factions of chaos and introducing chaos to you. So, without any further delay, I'll just move on to the agenda for you all. So in agenda, as you can see, we have got Nilanjan who will be introducing chaos engineering to you, and he'll be talking about chaos engineering workflows. Further, he'll be explaining GCP-based chaos experiments to you. So that will be done by Nilanjan, and Nilanjan will be starting off today's meetup. And post that, we have got Akash who will be talking about Azure-based chaos experiments using Litmus. And then we have Adarsh who will be talking about VMware-based chaos experiments by the end of this meetup. But to conclude this meetup, we'll be talking about Litmus Chaos 2.0. As you know, there's a major release that's happening on the August 15th. I'll take you to the poster, but as you know, Litmus is one of the go-to tool sets in the community, and we'll be going on to the major release notes by the end of this meetup. So as you can see, Litmus is releasing on the August 15th, and I'll be sharing some good details or details out there in the community for you all. Uh, as release notes and the docs what are out there, so you can check it out. And don't forget to join the Slack community. That is where we have all the interaction out there. That is where everything is going on. So I'll be sharing some important links in chat, and whatever questions you have, you can ask them while the question answers are on, or you can ask them in chat, and anyone from the contributor team or all the contributors will like to answer them. So without any further delay, I would like to welcome Nilanjan on stage. So Nilanjan, the floor is all yours. You can get started.
Thank you so much, Prithvi. So let me just share my screen.
Nilanjan, perhaps you can just raise your volume a little bit.
Sure. Is it better now, Prithvi?
Nilanjan, I think some issue.
All right. Folks, right now, are you able to hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
this is better.
All right, great. All right, I would just like to share my screen first of all. All right, I hope you guys are able to hear me.
Yes, Nilanjan.
All right, cool. So, hello everyone. Welcome to the Kubernetes community meetup for the month of July. I'm Nilanjan, and I'm a fellow Litmus Chaos contributor. And today I'll be walking you through an introduction of chaos engineering as well as chaos workflow. And later, we'll be going through GCP experiment suite for Litmus, which is a newest addition to our Litmus suite of chaos experiments. So, without any further delay, let's try to understand like the agenda that we'll be about to cover in a few minutes now. So first of all, I'll be covering that what is chaos engineering from a very basic point of view. Then why do we need chaos engineering? How do we perform chaos engineering? Then an overview of Litmus chaos. After that, how chaos experiments differ from chaos workflows. And finally, we will check out our GCP experiments for Litmus. So without any further delay, let's hop into it. So, right now, before moving to what is chaos engineering, I would like to dictate a scenario to you. Imagine that you have deployed your e commerce application using Kubernetes, and you are very satisfied with how flexible and stable your application deployment has come to be. During the testing of the application, it had checked all the boxes correct, and you're very confident that your next application deployment is all set to face the peak hours of the sale next week, which will have customers all over the country trying to buy your products using your application. But alas, right on the peak hour of the sale, your customers face a service outage. So, what went wrong? You don't have any idea since, on a superficial level, nothing seems out of the order. While your team tries to frantically correct everything, you are losing millions of dollars on a potential sale that you were depending upon. So, could this infelicitous situation have been avoided? Can we do something to not fall under these kind of situations and totally avoid them? The answer is yes, and that is by chaos engineering. So, what is chaos engineering? Chaos engineering is the discipline of experimenting on a system in order to build confidence in the system's capability to withstand turbulent conditions in production. So it is all about making sure that, like, experiments, what we basically call as hypothesis, we hypothesize a fault condition and then compare the results to a defined steady state. A steady state is basically nothing but the desired state of our system in which we want them to be, but we induce some kind of a failure condition into our system and check whether, after the inclusion of that failure condition, and when the failure condition passes, whether our application is able to withstand that failure condition or not, and it returns to its steady state or not. So that is in a nutshell what chaos engineering is. So basically it is more than just fault injection. Chaos engineering is basically an attempt at understanding the factors that contribute to the instability of a system. And more than that, it's also about gaining insights from the behavior of the system as a whole when it is subjugated to a failure condition, with the ultimate goal of making systems more resilient in production environment. This is on account of the fact that when we are trying to subjugate our systems to a faulty condition and we are finding them resilient into that condition, we are much more certain that that particular condition won't affect our system into our production environment, making our systems more than resilient. Moving on, so we can now discuss, why do we need chaos engineering? So, just as we discussed, that it potentially helps us to recognize the dangers and mitigate them before they cause havoc. So, in the previous example of our e commerce application, if we are able to identify the factors that are contributing to the instability of the system, it can be anything from a database instability to the time that takes for our pods to get created, or the time taken for our nodes to auto scale. If we are aware of that situation, we can potentially mitigate it before our system goes into production, and it leads to a higher resiliency in our system. So the next factor why we should choose chaos engineering, it provides quick reaction time when an unexpected node failures occurs. So right now, if our team would have conducted chaos engineering in case of our e-commerce application, our team would have been already aware of the kind of failure scenarios that can happen in advance. Therefore, when the same if the same scenario happens in our production environment, our team would have a failure plan already ready with them, and it would take much less time to basically adapt to that failure plan and go away with what needs to be done. Next point is improved application security and observability for enhancing reliability. So, chaos experiments help us figure out where our system's monitoring and observability capabilities are lacking, as well as it also allows to identify the areas for improvement so that it can help our system become more visible, as well as allow in a better telemetry data. Lastly, but not the least, it also assesses the fail in our failover plan and the cost involved in a safe environment. So this goes like, for example, we are aware of our failure points, what can go wrong, and based on that, we come up with a failure plan. That is a backup plan in case something goes wrong. But how do we know that that plan is the best plan that we can get? And also, how can we reduce the cost associated with that failover plan? Let's say we are leasing a backup server or we are leasing a backup database. All of that comes at a price, and we need to make sure that our failure is at a low cost. So chaos engineering helps us achieve this goal by practicing chaos in a safe environment. So that's all about why do we need chaos engineering. Now simply let us go to the fact that how do we perform chaos engineering. So it's basically four simple steps. First of all, we define our steady state. That is, just as I explained, it is the desired state of our application in which we want them to be. This can be, for example, in our case of a web application, everything is running and every microservice is working, everything is deployed, and the customers are able to seamlessly go through the different sections of the website. next comes the hypothesis. So an hypothesis is a failure conditions that we think can affect uh, our system. So basically, in our case, if I take the example of our e-commerce application, it can be anything starting from a database that fails to scale fast, or it can be our, let's say, the time that is taken to create new pods in case of our horizontally scaling our application during stress. It can be anything that can lead to a potential failure. Once we have our hypothesis failing condition, we define our experiment. That is, we try to induce that failure into our system as part of our experiment and then check whether our system is resilient against it or not. So, in this case, if I induce a failure of, let's say, database failure, and then we will check our application, that is like our web application that is deployed on our system, that is whether it is able to sustain that change or not after the chaos duration passes. So if the application works fine even after we induce chaos into it, so we can say that okay, this application is resilient. That could be one of the outcome. If that isn't the outcome, then we need to adapt, or basically we need to improvise in our application something so that it can be more resilient. So once we make some improvisations, we go through this loop all over. We again define our steady state, we again hypothesize, we again perform experiment, and this loop goes on. So that's chaos engineering in 4 simple steps. That being said, let us understand what is Litmus right now. So Litmus is a cloud native chaos engineering platform. It is useful for both developers and SREs in automating the chaos experiments at different stages within the DevOps pipeline, such as development, during CI/CD, as well as in production. It adopts a Kubernetes native approach to define chaos intent in a declarative manner via custom resources to target Kubernetes, containers, public cloud, bare metal application resources. So as you can see that like Litmus is able to target a lot of different number of target resources. It in fact has a huge library of chaos experiments, which we like to call Chaos Hub, and it contains over 50 chaos, more than 50 chaos experiments. More than that, it is 100% open source, built using open source. Anyone can contribute to it if they like. We have 154,000 plus installations and 394,000 plus experiment runs. Also, for those folks who contribute to Litmus Chaos, be it in the Litmus architecture or in the Litmus experiments, for those, Litmus is available in Golang, Python, as well as Ansible for writing new experiments, as well as over the 2 years of Litmus inception, it has been adopted by major enterprises such as VMware, Red Hat, Intuit, Wipro, Lenskart, and many more. So that's in a nutshell, in a very brief case, like what Litmus is. So right now we'll try to understand what really chaos experiments are. So of course, Litmus is a cloud native chaos engineering platform, and basically the building blocks of chaos, building blocks of Litmus is our chaos experiments. So chaos experiments are basically are building blocks of the Litmus architecture that define a certain fault condition, which when injected into a target resource causes it to go to an inconsistent state for a period of time. So just as we understood before the process of chaos engineering, here we use chaos experiments to define those blocks of failure, those building blocks, the most smallest parts that we can define in case of Leo and Litmus to define our failure condition. These failure conditions are usually targeted for a single resource, be it like for pod, for example, a Kubernetes pod or a Kubernetes node, or in our case, like our GCP instances, which we'll see in a while. And it causes them to go to an inconsistent state. When they are in this inconsistent state, we wait for them to recover through that inconsistent state and see whether they attain their previous steady state or not. Compare this with chaos workflows. So they are basically a set of chaos experiments that are strung together to achieve a desired chaos impact on our Kubernetes cluster. Now imagine you have a lot many of these chaos experiments, each targeted for a different aspect of your infrastructure, and you are stringing them together one after the another so that you can create a lot many failures into your system. And it makes sense because when you are in production, many things can go wrong at the same time. So you cannot always rely on a single failure condition to happen at one time. So in that way, chaos workflows are an ultimate way to define the resiliency of your system by making sure that your system is resilient against a number of failure conditions that may even happen at the same time. So if they are an effective mechanism to simulate real world conditions and gauge application behavior in an effective manner. So yes, that is what chaos experiments and chaos workflows are in a nutshell, and we'll be understanding these in a higher detail in just in a short while. Moving on with our today's agenda, like what are GCP VM instances, VM instance top experiments. So basically, we have two experiments right now under our GCP experiment suite for Litmus. First is the GCP VM instance top experiment, and then second is the disk loss experiment. So basically, these are two experiments, and the GCP VM instance stop experiment is basically a very simple experiment that stops the target VM instances and GKE nodes for a specified time duration and later restarts them. So that's how this experiment works. It basically stops GCP VM instances for some specified time duration and later restarts them. So these are some of the steps that this experiment follows, but we'll be going through them shortly in our demonstration. So let's not bother about that. Next is the GCP VM disk loss experiment. So GCP VM disk loss experiment causes the loss of a non-boot storage persistent disk from a GCP VM instance for a specified duration of time. So this is also something of a very common experiment where we are checking the resiliency of our storage persistent disk, like what will happen if they detach for some time to our application. So we'll be going through this experiment as well. So yeah, let's actually head over to the demo and let's see that how does our application perform when it is going through the GCP VM experiments. So I will just try to open my Litmus portal over here. So I'm here in my in my Litmus portal. So I'll just go to schedule a workflow. All right. So of course, those of you who might be knowing that how to perform chaos experiments, they know we need to schedule a workflow from here. But before that, I want to show you something like right now our chaos experiments are basically in a technical preview stage, the GCP experiments that we are trying to do right now. So in order to overcome that, what we'll do is that basically we'll be trying to modify our chaos hub so that we can access our GCP experiment. So for that, we'll just go to edit hub and we'll put master in here in the branch. So master branch is where all our technical preview experiments are also present. So we can seamlessly access it from here. So I've actually already done it as master. So we can just do submit now. And right now we can access all the experiments that we can confirm if we go to the chaos hub. So we can see that two of our GCP experiments are here. All said and done, let's go to the workflows and create a workflow for our GCP experiments. All right, so we are here. So we can directly go to schedule a workflow, choose our self agent, go to next, choose the experiments from my hub, next. And over here, we can name it anything. So I'll just name it GCP workflow. So, and we can name this as GCP VM instance top and VM disk loss experiments. Click next. So this is the important part where we'll be actually defining our chaos experiments. So earlier we had understood the concept of workflows. So here I'll be demonstrating what workflows really do for chaos for Litmus. So right now we have a single step in our graph. So we can see that this is install chaos experiment. We can add a new experiment over here. So let's say we first of all add our GCP VM instance stop experiment. So as we can see, one experiment is added in our graph, and this is the flow. I can add, in fact, another experiment over here. That is the GCP VM disk class. And here it becomes a chaos workflow. So as we can see, it has two experiments right now. First is the GCP VM instance stop, which will be executed first. And second, it is the GCP VM disk loss experiment that will be executed second, all as a part of a single workflow. But we are not done yet over here because we need to define the experiment specifics for making sure that this experiment is able to trigger. So we'll just go to edit YAML and we'll fill in a few details over here. So these are basically my GCP basically credentials, or basically you can say the information that we are trying to resources that we are trying to induce chaos upon, that I'll just show you. So meanwhile they are opening, let me just fill in the details. So this is for the VM instance stop experiment. I will just name my GCP instance and then my project ID. Next, my instance zone. Okay, we are done here. And next, for the GCP VM disk loss experiment, I'll be again defining the project ID, then the disk name, next the disk zone, which will be this, and finally the disk device name. All right, so we are all done over here. So let me just show you like what are the resources that we are trying to access over here. So I am here in my GCP console, and this is the compute engine dashboard. So basically, I'll be showing you the VM instances on which we are going to perform this experiment right now. So we are trying to inject chaos in this first GCP VM instance, test instance, the name that I had just entered over there. And inside of a VM disk loss experiment, like we are trying to target the disk by the name of test disk. So this is the disk that we are trying to target over here. So let us go forward and make sure that this chaos workflow gets started. So we can also define the weights for our experiments in the workflow. Basically, let's keep them as default. Then go next. Let's schedule the experiment for now. And we are done. Finish. Let's go to the workflow and see how they are working. So as the chaos experiments run, basically the workflow is right now executing. First of all, the chaos experiments will get installed and after that they will get executed. So this will take a while right now. So meanwhile, let me just answer like what is going to happen. So basically, after the installation of chaos experiments is done, we'll go to the first step, that is our GCP VM instance stop experiment, and that will start getting executed. When they will get start executed, so first of all we can come over here and see like whether the instances are stopping or not. So yeah, as we can see, the installation part is done, so we can check for our GCP VM instance stop. So as you can see, the experiment has started running, and we can also check in our logs view that what is happening. You can see that all the different experiment logs are appearing over here. And if I go in this place, we can see that, right, still injecting. All right. This workflow will take some time because there are basically two workflows. So let me just, since we have other demonstrations as well, let me just define the expected behavior for you. So basically what will happen is that our instances that we have defined in our workflows will be trying to get stopped over here. Okay, so maybe there was some issue with the name or some other detail, that's why it failed. So it's okay, it's fine. So the workflow will still continue and it will check for the GCP VM disk loss experiment. So basically the disk will also be trying to get stopped in this workflow, and in the end we'll be receiving our resiliency score. So the resiliency score is basically the measure of which like our experiment is resilient or our system is resilient. So that is based upon those metrics that we had defined in our creation of workflow, basically the scores that we had defined. So that's how the experiment will go. That's all there is in this demonstration. So thank you very much for being a part of this demonstration. I'm just chopping this over here because it will take some time. So yeah, I mean, if there are any questions, please.
Thanks, Nilanjan. There is a question from Shankar Narayan who's asking if this demo is installed in GCP. So would you like to take that question on where the control plane is running right
All
now?
right. Yeah, sure, sir. So basically, this experiment is not installing in GCP. I have my Kubernetes cluster where it is getting installed. So the philosophy behind our non-Kubernetes experiments is that we are trying to establish Litmus as a chaos engineering platform for everyone, where you will be having a single control plane for all your Kubernetes resources as well as non-Kubernetes resources. It will be a part of a single workflow where we can define the chaos experiments for our Kubernetes components such as pods, your nodes, or our GCP components or our Azure components, all from a single control plane. So that's how it is working. All right.
Yeah, I think there's a follow-up question. So just to add to what Nilanjan said, Shankar Narayan, the install step corresponds to installation of the custom resource that describes the fault. And that happens in this case in the same cluster where you're running the Litmus portal or chaos center as we call it. So wherever you're running the control plane, the CR is also installed there and the experiment jobs also execute there. But the impact or target is a GCP entity that is living elsewhere, right, on a different account, different cluster. Yeah, thank you. Litmus is available for on-prem Kubernetes as well. Yes, it just needs Kubernetes to run the control plane. You could run it on any kind of Kubernetes. And there's another question from Sujit, who's asking why the resilience score was 0%. Is it because it was running or because of system weakness? So I think in the current case, the experiment failure basically resulted in 0%. The resilience score, I could just share some resource on how it is calculated. It is essentially a weighted average of the success of an individual experiment versus all the experiments available within a workflow. So if you had failed experiments, you would end up getting 0%. And there's also another concept called probes, which defines steady state analysis. In the current experiments, we have not used them. So a success corresponds to 100% and failure corresponds to 0%.
Just adding to what Karthik just explained. So as you can see over here that one of our experiments failed, that is the GCP VM instance top experiment. Maybe because we did something wrong or maybe because the system failed. Let's not go into that. But anyway, another one passed. So we had defined our weights to be equally distributed. So that's why we are getting a 50% resilience score over here because one of them passed and one of them failed. So that's how it works. Like we are defining it that way. Just to show you guys, this is completed. The workflow is completed right now.
There's also a question from Shambhu Sinha, which is similar to another question around usage of monoliths, usage of Litmus on monoliths rather. Can we use Litmus for non-containerized applications? Yes, you could. You might be running these applications in, let's say, non-Kubernetes infrastructure. It could be on EC2 VMs or VMware or some other cloud platform, and you could inject infrastructure faults on those entities that inhibits the successful functioning of the non-containerized app.
I think there was one last question from Purneshwar. He has asked, can you show once more what changes you made to the code base? So Nilanjan, can you just help
Sure,
Purneshwar with that?
sure thing. All right, I will just go through the workflow creation part once more, since I guess I hasted that part a bit. So we'll go to a creation of a new workflow. We can go to scheduler workflow. We can go to self agent, choose the hub, go next. All right, so first step is to add our chaos experiments. First is the GCP VM instance stop, and second is the GCP VM disk loss. So what I had actually done over here is that I had made changes to my chaos engine manifest. So if I just go to the edit YAML part, we can see over here that, like, if we just scroll down, this is our chaos engine for the GCP VM instance stop experiment. So over here, we have a few parameters that we need to specify. First is the GCP VM instance name. That is the name of the target instances. So if I just a second. So if I just go into my VM instances, as you can see, this is a test instance that I had put over here. That is the name of my VM instance. Then the GCP project ID. So this is my GCP project ID right now, litmus GCP instance delete. I had put this over here. Next was the instance zone. So basically my instance zone of my target instance is US Central 1A. So I had put US Central 1A over here. Same goes for our GCP VM disk loss experiment. This is the chaos engine for our GCP VM disk loss experiment. I had also put like the GCP project ID, same as the before one. Then the disk volume name. So basically what I had shown you over here in the disk. So yeah, so I had put test disk over here. So this is the name of the disk that I had put over here. Then we had the disk zone. So this disk is basically part of my US Central 1A. So I'd put that over here. And finally, device name. So device name is basically the name of the disk that by which it mounts to our target instance. For example, like over here, the test disk is mounted to the test instance, the instance that we had seen before, and the volume name when this mounts into test instance is the name that we are supposed to put over here. So by default, it's the same name as our disk name. That's it's the test disk. So I had put test disk over here. So yeah, I mean, that's all the change you need to do over here. So I hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Nilanjan. I think that was a great demo and a great explanation. Folks can pull in or put in their questions in chat if they have any more. And without any further delay, I think we'll give the floor to Akash, who will get started presenting Azure-based chaos experiments with Litmus.
Thank you. Am I audible clearly?
Yeah, you are audible, Akash.
Okay. So hello everyone. I am Akash and I'm a contributor to Litmus Chaos project. And I'll be showcasing the Azure experiment that we are adding to the Litmus Chaos project. So currently we have only one experiment in the technical preview part, that is the Azure instance of experiment. But we are in the process of adding disk loss experiment as well to the Azure platform, and also adding support for virtual machine scale sets that is present in Azure. So these are currently in review stage, so they will be available in few days. So I'll be showcasing the Azure instance of experiment for now. So as you can see, I've already added the master branch as custom hub, as Lanjan already showed, like how to add access a technical experiment added in a technical preview. So I have already done that. And before initiating this kiosk, we have to set up the secrets in our Kubernetes kiosk plane where we have installed Litmus kiosk. So you can go through the docs for it. It's a very simple process. First of all, we need to get access to the Azure CLI, log into Azure CLI, and then run this command to get our uh, service principal or the login credential, you can call it, into a file called as auth.auth. So I have already done that, and I already have that file here with me. So after that, we need to create a secret in the kiosk namespace. So currently, I'll be initiating this kiosk in the Litmus namespace. So I'll be creating a secret in the Litmus namespace. So you need to change this value with the value that you will be getting in auth file. So this will be your credential that Litmus your platform will need to connect to your Azure portal. So I have already done that. So I already have the secrets available. So now I can access my Azure portal from Litmus here. So now I'll just go ahead and create a workflow to show you the experiment. So I'll select the self agent here and select the custom hub that I have added. And here I'll add a new experiment, which is the Azure instance of experiment. Then I'll go to edit YAML. So now, similar to the GCP experiment, we have to change the values, add the values for inside the kiosk engine. So I need to provide the Azure instance name and the resource group. So here I have created a test instance to test this to showcase the experiment, and it is in Akash Litmus test resource group. So I'll add this here, and as well add the name of the instance. So currently we support more than one instance as well. So you can provide multiple instances by using a comma. So I can decide to add many more instances that as many as I like. Or as also you can add the sequence as serial parallel in whichever way you want the experiment to run. So currently I only have one VM instance running, so I'll just go with one. So this is done here. I'll just save the changes to the experiment added, and we have made the changes in the engine, kiosk engine. Next, so we'll schedule it now. Now the workflow is created, and it will start with first of all creating the workflow and then installing the experiment. It will take a few minutes to set up. So meanwhile, like this, once the experiment starts running, we can check it here, seeing the status of our test instance to verify that it's stopping and then again starting. Yeah, so the experiments are installed, and it will go ahead and create the runner pod for the experiment. Now it's creating the experiment pod. So we can check inside our this area as well. So we can see that this experiment pod is already running. So we can go ahead and check the status of the instance here. So you can see like the experiment is already running. So the status has changed to stop. Now it will wait for 30 seconds as per the kiosk duration we have provided, and then start the status and start the instance again. Yeah, so you can see it's starting back the instance now, and it should have started by now. Yeah, so now the instance is back in the running state. So this means the experiment has been completed. So now this will update the kiosk result and show us the final results as well. So this is the instance of experiment. So currently, the test preview, the preview that is available, that only supports VM instances, not scale sets instances right now. But the support for scale set instances is also under review, so that will be available in a few days. So currently, you can test it out for VM instances, and later you can also run it for scale set instances or even your AKS node as well. This will update in a few minutes. So if anyone has any questions. So the experiment is complete and we can check that the verdict was passed. Complete the revert. It has been reverted and our instance is currently in running state. Thank you. That was it.
Thanks a lot, Akash, for that great demo. I think if we have any questions, perhaps folks can unmute themselves or ask and can post them in chat as well. So before moving ahead, perhaps we can just have some community interaction and then we can move ahead to the next agenda item. So I see a lot of folks have joined in and a lot of new folks. I see Neha, Purneshwar.
Hey,
So,
hi Prithvi. Yeah, I have few questions. Yeah, actually, so this chaos experiment supported on Kubernetes resources only, or any other resources? Like, we have some like applications running on Kubernetes, so chaos will work. And apart from that, do we support any other infra? I mean, microservices is there, but apart from that, any other like monolithic also we support?
Yes, Neha. So we do, like you said, do chaos against microservices on Kubernetes. We use the Kube API to do that. We also target infrastructure that is sort of pre-Kubernetes. You can say VMs, EC2 instances, Azure VMs, GCP VMs, etc. If you are running a monolith on those platforms, you will still be able to inject infra failure against those VMs to inhibit the operations of your monolith. So technically, yes.
Okay, fine. And do you support on monitoring and like providing some notification, that observability with this?
Yeah. So Litmus has a Prometheus exporter that gives you chaos metrics. So when I say chaos metrics, these are information that is about your experimentation process, when a particular fault started, till what time it is active, when it ended, whether the experiment was a success or a failure. All this is available as Prometheus metrics. So you could use these metrics to instrument your application dashboards, maybe on Grafana or any other service that you're using, and get a real-time view of how the fault is impacting your application behavior. We call them as chaos interleaved dashboards. And we have some examples on Grafana. There's also a monitoring capability within the Litmus portal, which we did not demonstrate today, but you will be able to add Prometheus as a data source and view application metrics interleaved with chaos metrics on your portal as well.
Okay, yeah.
There's also a chaos result, which Akash and Nilanjan just briefly showed you upon the completion of the experiment. Chaos result holds status and information about the run detail. So you will also have information about how a particular steady state validation went, whether it succeeded, whether it failed, etc. in the chaos result. So you will be able to derive some useful reports out of it.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Yeah, and one question, last question is if there is any failure like in production system, so this chaos experiments will how it will work exactly and give you the note. I mean, that just I wanted to understand that path. Like suppose I have my application running in production system, but somehow the application went down and I'm not sure, like I don't know when it went, suppose. So how do you identify that?
Yeah, there are a couple of things here.
Okay.
The failures in production could be natural. They could be real outages. I think that's what you might be mentioning, or they could be induced via deliberately via a chaos experiment, right?
Yeah.
So if it is a natural outage, the expectation is there is an observability infrastructure already in place. You have the right monitoring the infrastructure and notification infrastructure. So you're alerted on something going down. And if you're talking about a chaos experiment, then there are ways for you to set up alerts for the application behavior. So let us say you were trying to look at some state inside your cluster, or you're looking at metrics or deviation in metrics of some application service, or you're looking at the state of some resource. It could be node, disk, network, anything. Depending upon what your experiment did, you can configure the success criteria. The experiment will either pass or it will fail. And you can set up notifications via Prometheus or via any other system. I think there are some plans to include alerting capabilities within the portal, but as of today, you can use Prometheus Alert Manager or Grafana to push alerts, and you could have email, Slack, any have observability infrastructure in place. Otherwise, it is like you are experimenting in the dark, right? If you cannot see how the application is changing its behavior. So, and if you are running something on production, there is always going to be some way of identifying what's happened with your services. Litmus as a platform does not provide observability services as such, but it can hook into observability systems to tell you something happened with your application or your experiment.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Neha. Perhaps you can also join the Slack community to further ask follow-up questions or stay connected. And do we have any other questions? I see a lot of folks. Perhaps you can just introduce yourself or ask any questions.
Hey, hi guys. This is Shambhu. So I do have question. Since we are using this, we have started using Chaos experiment recently, and there are a lot of discussion around production. Like just now mentioned, this Chaos can be experiment in production as well, but there are a lot of resistance. Like this Chaos cannot be used in production. Probably must be used in lower environment for just simulation. Is there any way by which, or is there any guideline by which anyone executing this Chaos experiment successfully in controlled manner in production?
Yeah, that's a good question, Shambhu. When Netflix, Amazon, Salesforce, all these people formulated and codified the principles of chaos about a decade back, one of the things they recommended was to run chaos in production, because that is where your environment is at its dynamic best. The kind of traffic that you see in production is something you will not be able to simulate in your test staging environments. Of course, there are different tools you can use to simulate load and maybe mirror traffic, replay traffic, etc. But the buildup of events that you see in production is something that you generally don't see in more sanitized environments like staging and dev. Right? You might have a situation that got triggered because it was getting built up over the last some period of time. Chained failures, as you would say. Something that becomes apparent because things failed over a period of time. So chaos engineering in production is like the ultimate, the pinnacle. You can say it is the nirvana stage of a very mature chaos engineering practice. Big organizations tend to do that. But for people who still do not have that confidence and who are still very touchy about running things in production, starting it on CI/CD environments and doing it in staging is definitely much better option, and also gives you the confidence to one day try it in production. This is one part of it. This is the culture part or the philosophy part of it. About what aids the tool itself gives to safely do chaos in production, you mentioned blast radius, which is a good point. when you're doing controlled failures, you should have the ability to say, I'm going to target only this microservice, or maybe only this disk of this node, or this pod network, etc. So you will probably need to zero in at a very granular level on the fault that you should do, and the framework should support that. That is one requirement. Litmus does that in Kubernetes using namespace selectors, label selectors, and annotations. So you can choose, this is the service that I want to go and disrupt. And you also have the option of specifying services or pods by name. Let us say there are many pods or replicas sharing the same attribute, residing in the same namespace, sharing the same label and annotations. And generally Litmus picks randomly. But if you would like it to pick a particular service, you can refer to it by name, so that you're also targeting only a single replica. And you can also choose what is the extent of failure. This is about choosing the service for failure, and then to what extent the chaos is injected. That's also something that you can define by percentage latency or corruption or any such attribute. How many times do you want the pod killed? All these kind of things can be defined. So that is about doing controlled failures. The other aspect is if something goes out of hand despite doing a controlled failure, right? You did not foresee some things happening in your environment. It could be staging, but still it could be a shared resource. There might be multiple service owners trying to use a staging cluster, so you might not want to step on someone else's toes. So if something is going out of hand, you might want to abort the experiment then and there. So Litmus provides the ability to stop your experiment based on certain conditions. So Litmus, like we mentioned, has something called probes, which you can use for steady state hypothesis, but not just for validation purposes. It can also say, okay, based on this condition, I'm going to go ahead and kill the experiment and not let it continue further. That is useful even when you're running it in production. So you're able to mitigate or stop the impact of chaos based on certain predefined criteria. So blast radius control, being able to abort successfully is something very helpful. And post experimentation, let us say you did manage to successfully execute. So in production, you might want to, let's say, because it is production, you're doing chaos experiments quite rarely, right? You get a lot of buy-in, you pull all stakeholders, sometimes even the customers, and tell them, see, there could be something that I'm going to do now. So you might be impacted, but yeah, we assure you that it will not be for long or something like that, right? Let us say you bring in all stakeholders and then go and do an experiment. You should have the ability to glean the maximum data from it. You need to be able to come to some useful inference when you run that experiment. So for that, you need observability, like we were saying to Neha. But not only that, you would also be interested in capturing information for further analysis at a later time. It could be in the form of logs, or it could be in the form of results. So that is where chaos results is helpful. It tells you, let us say you injected a fault with certain steady state validation bound into the experiment run. It tells you exactly how that went. What is the result of each probe or each validation activity that was carried out within the experiment, and what is the probe success percentage, what is the residence score for your scenario, etc. So you could sort of maximize the impact of having run a fault in production. So this is how today Litmus helps you to run chaos in production or production-like environments. As far as the culture is concerned, it's definitely recommended to start doing chaos against lower environments, like you mentioned, before you have enough practice and confidence in the system to be able to attempt chaos in the real prod environment.
Okay, yeah, you gave great insight. Actually, probably, definitely, it will be very much helpful. Only my one question. So each Litmus provides some things like design, like defining blast radius that you mentioned, right? So is there some things, feature available where we can design scenario, right? Dependent scenario. If this is happening, then probably can take other, action. like you were talking about probing and some other aspects, right? So is this all feature available in Litmus?
Yes, yes. Today's
Oh,
demonstration did not feature the probe, but there are other recordings. I think Prithvi can share them where we are talking about how these probes can be used within an experiment, and you can take decisions based on them. There is a run property which we call stop on failure, which can go ahead and stop an experiment or abort an experiment based on certain condition. That is at the probe level, which is found inside of an experiment. When you're constructing a more complex scenario using the workflow, today's workflow consisted of a single experiment. In one case, it was the GCP VM kill, and in another case, it was the Azure VM kill. But let us say you added 4 or 5 experiments in a sequence, right? You basically ordered it in a desired way and run it. Whether you should go ahead with the next item in the workflow or you should abort it is also something you can control. So that is something we are documenting at this point. So you should have that information very soon.
yeah, great. Actually, we are using, we have started working with Chaos Blade, and looks like that's working seamlessly. But yeah, it doesn't have feature that what you're talking, like in defining workflow. Each and everything we have to code, we have to script those, and also good feature. I'm thinking like centralized hub. You have Litmus hub looks like from where you are controlling everything. So that's a good feature. We try to evaluate one tool, Grammarly in some things, right? But
Yeah.
that also was having good feature, but not so powerful feature like what you are talking. So yeah, definitely it's a giving some kind of great feature, and definitely I'll go through.
Thank you,
Thanks
Shambhu.
for insight. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Shambhu. Thanks a lot for those questions, and thanks, Karthik, for those insights. So, a few more folks. We have got Divyang and Amit, Vijay, Puneshwar, Sujit. Sujit has already been a community member. Girish, Omar, Soni, if you want to just introduce yourself or ask any questions, and then we can move on to the last agenda item.
Hey, by the way, I'm Shambhu, working for FIS India, and part of reliability engineering. You just help me, becoming part of community member. I definitely love to join. Thank
Sure,
you.
sure, Shambhu. I've shared the details to join the Slack, so perhaps you can just follow the steps and you'll be able to join the community.
Sure. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, so do we have anyone who wants to introduce or ask any questions?
Hey, am I audible?
Yes, Girish, you are.
Yeah, hi. This is Girish here. I am currently working as a product manager and not a development manager in a product team within FICO. So I've been a meetup hopper, I would say, for quite some time, and things like cloud development and the new emerging, I wouldn't say, of course you said it's about a decade old principle of chaos engineering, but it's catching on a lot in the overall cloud world these days, the cloud landscape. So I find that interesting. So that's why I just thought we'd attend this meetups. So hope to be a regular on this meetup and learn more on this topic and see how we can take it back to our workspace and adapt it. I find that interesting. So actually, recently, just last week in our sprint also, we were trying to do some of work, and it was actually an ideal case of chaos could be introduced to evaluate whether our system could sustain. And I think it's things like chaos is getting more and more relevant. So I think this is a nice opportunity, a nice platform for us to exchange ideas. Thanks for this opportunity and for organizing this.
Awesome,
I'd like to
Girish,
be
awesome.
sure.
Sure, Girish, you can join the Slack community as well, and it's great to know how FICO is looking forward to cloud native technologies. I think chaos engineering is a technology which hasn't crossed the adoption chasm yet, but it's the next gen technology or a go-to faction, of course. So everyone should start implementing chaos in some form or the other. Appreciate it. Girish. All right, folks. Is there anyone else who wants to introduce himself or herself, or we can just move on to the last agenda item? All right, then, Adarsh, the floor is all yours. Perhaps you can get started talking a little bit about the VMware-based experiments, and then we can wind up quickly.
Thanks, Prithvi. Let me share my screen. Share it. Is my screen visible?
Yes, Adarsh.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I am Adarsh, one of the contributor of Litmus Kiosk, and today I will be demonstrating VMware VM power off experiment. Basically, this experiment causes power off to the VMs data running in the vSphere for this some kiosk duration. So let's first discuss about the architecture of the vSphere. So this is the whole architecture of the vSphere. It consists of vSphere client, vCenter server, and the ESXi host. ESXi hosts are basically type 1 hypervisor where we can run multiple VM, and vCenter server is the control plane from where we can manage multiple hosts. And vSphere client is the web console from where we can access the vCenter server. So this is the vSphere client console. Let me log in to the vCenter server. So this is the vCenter server. Here you can see that one host is connected to the server, and there are multiple VMs that are running in the host. And vCenter gives an ID to every instances to identify them internally. So here, wait. Okay. So from the URL itself, you can get the MOID. Here it is the MOID, and you can see for every VM, it is unique. So we will be using in our experiment for identifying the VM. So for today's demo, I will be targeting Litmus test VM. So its MOID is VM17. And before starting the experiment, we need to provide some details about the vCenter to the experiment. That is vCenter IP, vCenter username, vCenter password name, and the VM MOID. So we will be creating an secrets for providing the vSphere IP and vSphere IP. Wait. So we will be creating an secret for the vCenter server, IP address, vCenter username, and vCenter passwords. And these data are base64 encoded. So first, let me create the secret. So now secret is created. So we are good to go. So this is the home page of our portal. So we will be running our experiment from the portal. Here we schedule workflow. And for now, we are selecting the self-agent and also selecting the default kiosk. So now here we will be adding our experiment, and our experiment is VMware, VM power off. Here you can say that our experiment has been added. We have to edit the YAML. So, in the chaos experiment part, here you can say that the credentials are passed as env, and in the engine part, we will provide the MOID of the target VM. And for now, we will be targeting the litmus test VM, and its MOID is VM70. And this is the total chaos duration, and it is how much time you want to inject the chaos. So, and its by default value is 30. So we will stick to that. Save changes. Next. For now, I will give the experiment weightage to 10. I'll be scheduling the workflow for now. And this is the last page. Here you can verify all the things. Here you can also show the YAML and verify that. We have already did that, so we will finish the. So here workflow has been created. Here you can see that it is running state. So now it is installing the chaos experiment, that is VM power of experiment. Basically, in the experiment, what we are doing, first we are checking the status of VM. If it is powered on, then we will inject chaos to the VM, and it will experiment will power off the VM for a certain chaos duration, and after the duration, it will be powered on. So now the chaos injection has been started. We can see from the vCenter also. Here you can see that the litmus test is now powered off, and after 30 seconds, it will be again powered on. So you can see that after 30 seconds, it is again powered on. So let's get back to the portal. It takes some time to fetch all the data. Here you can see the logs of the experiment. Now our experiment has been successfully completed. So we can check the chaos result, and here you can see that the phase is completed and the verdict is passed. So and also we can see the analytics of the experiment also. We can see the analytics from here. And here you can get the details, the name of the workflow, in which namespace we have run the experiment, on which agent we have run, and also we can see the statistics of the experiment. Here you can see that one experiment has been passed, and we have run only one experiment, and the total resilience score is 100%, and the pass versus fail percentage is also 100%. So that's all for the experiment part, and you can also go through the documentation of this experiment. You can get from here, and please note that this experiment is supported from the vSphere version 6.5, 6.7, and 7.x. And so do try it out and give us our valuable feedback. Thank you. Any questions?
Thanks a lot, Adarsh. I think folks can ask their questions in chat, or perhaps ask their follow-up questions in the Litmus Slack itself. So that's it, folks. That was the agenda for today. And I think we covered a lot. We covered GCP-based, Azure-based, and VMware-based experiments. So it was, I think, a lot of information for you all. So with this, we have come to the end of the meetup. We had one more think that was 2.0 insights, but we are already out of time. So perhaps we'll be covering that once 2.0 releases. That's next month itself in the next meetup. So the meetup details will be announced on the meetup page or on the Litmus community itself. So folks, please join the Slack community. The links have been shared, and do check out the Litmus websites, repo docs. Feel free to ask any questions you have. And thanks a lot for joining in on a Saturday afternoon or from wherever you're joining in. So thank you, folks. Thanks a lot, everyone. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks.